And we're back. We finished off the last one talking about how basically right-wingers are, now again, broad sweeping generalisation alert for fucking everything that we've spoken about up until this point and everything that's coming after it. But we were saying that right-wingers are terrified of losing their identity, and the reason for that is because they don't have a fucking meaningful identity. And we were trying to find something analogous on the left, and I don't think we found something perfectly analogous, but what we were saying was that the right-wingers are living in the past. They want to go back to, the way it used to be. And in a similar vein, the left-wingers seem to want to live in the future. They want to live in a post-racial world, a post-sexist world, a post-homophobic world. And, to a large degree, if not entirely, all for that. But you've got one side that's living in the past and one side that's living in the future, and nobody's living in the fucking here and now with what we have to deal with. So, how do we solve this, Paul?
Good question, Brado. Good question. Fucking my own personal answers are fucking just find things that I'm interested in and pursue them and try and not get wrapped up too much and fucking thinking about the past or the future, trying to fucking do things in the here and now. And
we've made fringe issues mainstream issues, have we?
It's mad, yeah. Conspiracies have gone mainstream big time, and just as I said, fringe issues in general. But what I was watching on freedocumentaries.org 6 years ago, it seems like that's fucking mainstream news nowadays. Or the idea of when I was, maybe it's just my lack of understanding or my own naivety, but when I was younger, exposing myself to conspiracy theories, I never heard the word conspiracy theory until I went, reading books about it or on certain documentaries or websites. But now it's every second fucking news article is fucking talking about conspiracies. It's strange how it's gone mainstream in the last couple of years.
It's mad. So there used to be a time, I think, whereby you, Porrick Riley, were a chef and you were into food, where it came from, how it was produced, how it was prepared, how it was cooked, how it was presented, how it was fucking consumed. That was your thing, and people were things like he was a GAA player, so he knew about GAA. He was a farmer, he knew about spuds. He was a this, he knew about that. And each and every one of yous would have also had your opinions on different things, but your opinions on different things made up, 5% of who and what you were.
Yes.
But these days, it's your 95% your opinions. But you know what I mean? And you don't have anything. All you have is that fucking political chatter in your head, and there's nothing substantial behind it. If you're a fisherman and you're fucking big into politics, you're a fisherman who's into politics, and that's a real thing. But when you become a politician,
and that's it,
yeah. I don't know, it gets a bit squirrely, like.
Yeah, I like the idea of reality being like a testing ground for your hypothesis. So like if you're just purely abstract theoretical, you're never testing your ideas out on reality. I'm fucking guilty of that as much as anybody else, which I live in my head a lot between fucking books and philosophy and that kind of thing. It's just where my interests are at, so I live in my head to a large extent. But I notice that I struggle myself then trying to, okay, you think all these things, now how about trying to fucking do something?
Yeah, now what?
Oh wait, shit. Where do I start? Like,
but that's the beauty, because I'm very like you now. I'm not a big, I wasn't saying I wouldn't be a big consumer of books. Audiobooks would be my thing, but yeah, so I'm into ideas, and anybody that's listened to me for any length of time, that would be just blatantly fucking obvious. But it's no coincidence that it's me and you that's sitting here now.
Yeah,
I think we're both suffering from the same problem. It's hard to put your ideas into kind of tangible form, but talking like this helps.
Big
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I'm here. Yeah.
Bouncing the ball back.
Yeah.
And I think too many people are afraid of that. Like, I'd love to think that I could just send out 10 text messages to the likes of yourself and 9 other people and get 10 messages back going, I'm free Wednesday at 2:00. which is basically what I got from you. But I don't get that for the most part. It's like, oh yeah, like I don't. And what people will often say is they don't mind talking to me, but it's not for public consumption. Do you know that kind of way? And
it's understandable too.
yeah, no, it is. It certainly is, and I'd never think less of somebody for saying that. And it's a good job because it's what everyone says. But there's something to that though. There's no facility whereby this gets to happen. You know, like we go to the cinema. That's a cultural thing that we do. But you sit there and you stare at the screen. You may as well be at home. I often thought that a first date with a girl going to the cinema is the worst thing imaginable because
not even looking at each
well,
other.
like, you know, fucking we'll go and ignore each other for fucking 2 hours and like that'll be great, won't it?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's not all bad, but there's something to that.
Like, yeah, surely, yeah.
So we have like the cinema, which isn't great, the pub, which is better. There's something great about the pub. Now, I was never a major pub goer, especially not of recent years, because, you know, small kids and all the rest of it. But there's something to the drugs element of a pub.
Oh, big time, yeah.
You know, it kind of breaks down that aversion to be yourself in a good way, though. Do you know that kind of way?
Yeah, a bit of a kind of social lubricant involved as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, sure. I think the French Revolution was heavily influenced by coffee houses and pubs as well. Like people meeting up and sharing ideas. Again, the idea of ideas having sex and having babies. I think nearly any revolution has begun with people chatting with one another and probably ingesting a few drugs while they're at it of some sort.
Yeah, but you see, I suppose the downside of alcohol is that it's so deliciously Moorish.
yeah.
Do you know that kind of way? Especially from a kind of an Irish perspective, because we have that relationship with drink. Like, you know, the next drink is always the nicest drink.
yeah, the one to
do you know that kind of way?
Living in the future again.
Yeah.
yeah. So everything in moderation, I suppose. But drink is one of them drugs that just, it doesn't suggest its own disuse. Like, if anything, the opposite. Like you're saying, it's the next one's going to be the nice one. So it's kind of it's takes away your inhibitions, doesn't make your inhibitions more. It's not like smoking some cannabis for the first time or when you're not used to it. Like, you get very fucking way more in your head and way more, maybe not paranoid, but maybe more cautious about what you're going to say or do next. Whereas
more aware.
Yeah, your senses are on overdrive. And maybe like look at it, alcohol can make you more aware too, I think, in ways. Just different uses, different effects, especially considering the dosage and the setting and everything else. But yeah, missed the pub. I wouldn't have thought I said that, because like yourself, I haven't been really going to the pub, and not ritualistically the way I used to go. Like, but
well, you see, I have a feeling, and just clarifying or stop me if I'm wrong, but I have a feeling that you have the same experience as me. So we didn't go to the pub as much as we went on the piss.
Yes, on the tear, session.
So the pub wasn't the pub just facilitated drinking the head off yourself. Because if you did it in a library, you know, somebody would fucking look funny at you. But you know, there's you know, once you open the door of a pub in Ireland, at least in my experience, you're walking into a realm whereby being pissed isn't, you know, a bad thing. Don't get me wrong, nobody likes a sloppy drunk falling all over the place, but being, you know, well oiled is part of the course. Like,
you nearly prefer the sloppy cunt on the uptight person that won't have a drink in there.
The distrust of people who don't drink, man. It's fucking gas, isn't it? Isn't it gas? James, John's a lovely fella, fucking nicest man you'd ever meet in your life. Doesn't drink though. You know, just puts a big giant perpetual question mark over a person, in an Irish context at least, doesn't it though?
Yeah, big time.
There's something
can't
really
trust themselves.
How
can I trust you if you can't trust yourself?
But it's funny though, isn't it? Like, and it's I think it's somewhat telling that there's Yeah, that lad can't trust himself. That's why he doesn't have a drink.
Well, I feel like I've gone full circle on that now. Maybe not full circle is the wrong way of putting it, but I kind of gave up drinking for 2 or 3 years, and it was kind of nearly that kind of mindset of I can't. Maybe at the time, the headspace I was in, I couldn't kind of trust myself, but I feel like I've come round the other side now. I can enjoy a drink, but not fucking, like you were saying, I'm not drinking with the sole intention of getting pissed. Like, it's, I can kind of enjoy a few now and have a chat without, this is going to carry on for the next week or two.
Yeah. I remember asking myself and others when I was in my pisshead phase, say for want of a better term, and the question was, would you pop a bananas pill? The idea being that, sober as a judge, just a little pill, down it goes, 2 minutes later, you're 10 pints in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And back then, heartbeat.
Yeah, definitely.
Hook it to my veins.
Yeah.
That's the fucking whole purpose of this thing. And it's only a tenner. Fucking 10 pints for tenner. Gift.
Yeah, much cheaper.
Exactly. But now it's like, Jesus, the fucking thoughts of it. I swallow that thing in a 5 minute time, I'll be a mess.
Fuck that.
But exactly. Like. Exactly.
Yeah. I remember being the similar, sessions in houses, and it'd be fucking people playing drinking games. I was like, I thought we were playing a drinking game, all right? The game is let's see who gets drunk. Or not even let's see who gets, just get drunk. Like, that's the game. No need to add in some decks of cards or some shit. Like, I know what I'm here for, but
but it's funny though, because drinking games never really caught on in Ireland as much as they do in the States.
Really? Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Drinking games were never a thing when I was coming up, at least. Were they
a bit more maybe in the group, maybe just the groups we're in, but beer pong, probably American influence and culture and TV and film, but beer pong would have been popular enough with my circle and fucking whatever, I Never and all these Kings card games. Again, I'd be kind of sitting off to the side, just fucking not really interacting.
Yeah,
I'm playing my own game here.
But it's funny though, because when you were saying that you gave up the drink there, you just had the mind was fucking racing with just my own relationship with alcohol, and I actually have 2 bottles of Jameson down in Castletown where the business is.
Full bottles.
Yes. 7 miles from my house though. Do you know that kind of way?
Yeah.
And the day they get brought into my house is a week before they're empty, like both of them.
Same, yeah.
So that's not good. Do you know that kind of way? It's not the worst thing fucking ever. There's a lot of people that wouldn't be able to keep them in 7 miles down the road, especially if they're in that place every day, like I would be. They'd be in the boot of the car and
their place of work as well.
Yeah, exactly. But there's something to it, and it's we have a weird relationship with alcohol in Ireland, very much so. We don't really view it as a drug as such.
No, drugs and alcohol.
We literally call it drugs and alcohol. Literally call it drug, and it's not, and that's not just a common parlance thing. That's like the HSE will produce a document called drug and alcohol. Like, fucking boggles the mind. Like.
And maybe do keep them separate, because alcohol is way worse than most drugs.
But it's not mad. You were saying there earlier something about drugs that suggest their own misuse. None of the legal drugs do that.
No, tobacco and alcohol, no.
Even coffee, like.
Oh, yeah.
Quite the contrary.
Yeah, more drugs. Yeah, and look, depending on the person, I think you can get addicted to anything, but I think, again, with the broad sweeping generalizations, you're not, I think the average person, if they do, say the psychedelic class of drugs, you're not thinking about doing another one of them straight away
anytime soon.
No fucking way. And maybe you might, if you have a really enjoyable experience or positive experience, you might be kind of tempted, but a day or two later, reality sets in. You're like, I'm not fucking doing that again for a good long time.
And look, I'm sure there are people who take them and have the best crack ever, and they can't wait to take them again, and they do take them again.
Oh, they do, yeah, for sure.
But I mean, that's fucking... That'll be short-lived. You might do that twice, you might do it 3 times, but there's something's coming that's going to cut your consumption. Not even in half. Just fucking will stamp it. Like.
Yeah. Many times I've had terrible hangovers where I'm hugging the toilet, getting sick for fucking 2 hours before you're due into work, and promising myself stop doing it. Then afterwards, I'm never doing that again, and fucking that kind of nonsense.
Never again. It's a cliche. Like,
Yeah.
never
Oh
again.
yeah.
Like it's mad to think that you can go to any Irish person and say, "What am I talking about?" When I go, "Oh, never again." Every single man, woman, and child will go drinking, yeah. But you bring that to any other country in the world, and I don't know how. Like, never do what again? What are you on about?
Yeah. What did you do?
You said that about drinking. Oh my god!
What's that joke? The French guy after work with the Irish guy. Oh, do you want to come to the pub? Oh no, I'm not thirsty.
Brilliant. Tommy Tiernan had a similar one. What was it? So how many drinks are you going to have tonight, Tommy? I don't know, a small child's full? But it's gas though, isn't it? Like,
Yeah,
I mean, the idea, but again, from the American point of view, it's you go out with the intention of having X amount of drinks, and to us that's just fucking what?
You don't plan these things.
No, not at all. But from a, let's say, a psychedelics point of view, you should at the very least know exactly what you're going to fucking take.
Oh, it's a good
And when and where and with whom.
Yeah.
It's not, sure, I'll take this bag and maybe another bag, and depending on what the crack is like, I might even take more. Like that's not how that shit works. Like.
Oh, look at people
because
do
you
it,
respect
but
it.
Yeah. If you want to maximize your chances of having a positive experience, that's certainly not the way to do it. But people do it that way and do have good experiences. But yeah, I certainly wouldn't fucking recommend it. Like it's better you know what you're doing, as you say, what you're doing, when you're doing, who you're doing it with, that kind of thing. It's important.
It's funny. Safety, I think, plays an important role here. So. Alcohol is deemed as safe. Coffee is deemed as safe. So you can kind of lure it into you.
It's regulated and it's you know, it's 40% alcohol or it's 10% alcohol.
Yeah, exactly. But when it becomes a little bit kind of dodgier, you I know you're more careful with it or something. I noticed what this is reminding me of is when I worked on the building sites, and I've always maintained that the safest builder sites, in a weird way, in a paradoxical way, and again, broad sweeping generalisation, are the safest building sites. I always felt kind of somewhat uncomfortable about them because you didn't have to watch where you were walking.
Yeah.
On a dodgy site, you're fucking tiptoeing around that fucking place.
Yeah.
Do you know that kind of way?
Yeah.
And there's something to that. When something is deemed safe, there's a danger in something that's deemed safe.
Yeah, you get lackadaisical.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
but complacent maybe.
Complacent, I think is the word.
Yeah.
Because on a safe site, you'd be chatting to somebody on the scaffold, and you just fold your arms and lean back, and you'll rest your back against the safety rail that you know is on the scaffolding.
Yes.
You won't fucking do that on a dodgy site. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you'll turn
definitely.
around, you'll see it, you'll grab it, you'll shake it, and then you lean against it.
Yeah.
Do you know that kind of way?
Make sure. Yeah.
And there's something there. There's like the kind of the babying of society in general. Like everything's super safe, everything's nerfed. So
don't test anything for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't push the boundaries. Like, I mean, my understanding with kids' development growing up is that it's integrally important for you to roughhouse with your kids, so that they know where you start and they end. Do you know that kind of way? They know the difference between a kind of a, like, I'll spar with Fionn just messing, and I'll punch him in the face. But you know, I'm barely touching him. But there's times when I hit him maybe a little bit harder, and he'll go, "Oh fuck, that was sore." Like, and I was like, "Oh Jesus, sorry." But sometimes he'll do it to me. Like, he'll be pretending to punch me in the face, and he'll maybe hit me a little harder, and I go, "Oh buddy, careful." Like, and that's how you learn to know what kind of force to use.
Yeah.
But when it's all been when the amount of force has been set, do you know that kind of way, and it's always safe.
Set to safe.
Your society has been set to safe. You lose that knowing what is and isn't safe. I don't know if I'm making that clear.
No, that's definitely
there's something to that, like.
Certainly. It's like without again, it's like what we're saying. Even with conversations, it's like no one wants to have this conversation with you. It's probably unsafe. It hasn't been tested out. You know?
Very much.
What the fuck's a podcast?
Like we haven't agreed explicitly on what we're going to say and how we're going to say
no,
it.
Thinking out loud.
This conversation is dangerous to a degree.
Yeah, well, it's untested in a lot of ways. It's new territory, so who knows where it's going to go.
But sure, that's the
beauty of it.
To me and you, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah,
but to what would appear to be most people, it's literally the reason they're not doing it.
Yeah, well, if you can lose your fucking... I don't have a job to worry about. It's fucking... If you can lose your job for saying the wrong thing.
But it's funny, though, because I feel because I have such a backlog or portfolio or whatever you want to call it. I've fucking hundreds of hours of me online talking about everything and anything. So I personally think that I could assume the position of, head of KPMG, obviously not qualified, but I could have a position in politics, say. And I could talk as freely as I'm talking to you now.
I work in your advantage rather than against you.
I think so, I think so.
Well, especially in politics, like many politicians have their own fucking podcasts.
Yeah, I'd say if you rounded it up to the nearest whole number, it'd still be zero.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, imagine, and then maybe, look, I stand to be corrected, but I'd love to get a politician on just to see, would they fucking come on, given this, I won't edit anything, and it'll go on for as long as it goes on for, and what is said is what's uploaded. Like I don't know. I would imagine. Put it this way: if I was advising a politician, I'd tell him not to.
No fucking way. Yeah.
Do you know that kind of way?
You have an election coming up.
well, you see, this is it. Like absolutely. And who knows? You might say something. What I'd say to the politician now would be, "Don't go on." Because if you do, you might say something that mightn't have any consequence now, but in 5 years' time, they could fucking dig it up and use it against you. That's what I'd advise people, do you know?
For sure. That's the beauty, I suppose, and the curse of the internet. Like, it's people are being literally, you have the fairy tale in New York being censored because it says the word faggot in it. Like, it's
I'm going to have to beep that out now.
But it's just bizarre that we can go back and post someone said 10 years ago and we could
judge them by today's standards.
Yeah. Or even looking back in history and judging by today's standards. It seems to be a current pastime for people.
Yeah, Lincoln freed the slaves. Lincoln had slaves.
Yeah, racist. Clearly. Mad.
22 minutes, Podge. We're going to wrap it up.
Yeah, dead on.
And we'll chat to you the next one.